The public is mad that those girls should be slaughtered. They should be jailed. And very many people are asking, you mean there are advocates who are going to represent those girls? Can an advocate refuse to represent an accused person or a suspect in court? What is the law? Very many people get annoyed when they see us representing people they think are murderers, people they think are robbers, people they think have stolen an election. When does the law allow an advocate to reject a matter? Welcome to Court Helicopter trending version. We are still talking about the issue of Utumishi Academy. We still pass our condolences to the 16 who passed on. We also wish a fast recovery for those who are in hospital nursing their injuries. And third, we are aware the judicial process has started, and today the 9 girls that were arraigned through a miscellaneous application were granted. The police asked for 30 days. That is the state. The court allowed them 21 days. Number 2, the court remanded the children at a remand home in Nakuru, as we had given an example. The question that comes into play, the public is mad that those girls should be slaughtered. They should be jailed. And very many people are asking, you mean there are advocates who are going to represent those girls? Can an advocate refuse to represent an accused person or a suspect in court? What is the law? Very many people get annoyed when they see us representing people they think are murderers, people they think are robbers, people they think have stolen an election, people they think have looted corruption money. The public sometimes is mad. A serial rapist, can an advocate represent a serial rapist? Can an advocate represent a defiler who has defiled a 2-year-old kid? Can an advocate represent somebody who has a vampire that kills people and drinks their blood? Can an advocate represent an accused person who has been charged with the offense of sodomy? Can an advocate represent somebody who has killed in the most gruesome manner? This issue arose when one of our advocates, Wakili Willie Kimani, was murdered. He had gone to do his work at Mlolongo. He was murdered. The advocates, the whole country, we went on strike. We led serious demonstrations, as you can see. Listen to the advocates making noise. All of us were united. We wore purple ribbons condemning the act. And there was an argument that no advocate is going to represent anybody. Wakili, my colleague and my friend, Cliff Ombeta, stood up to represent Willie Kimani. He got a serious backlash. How can he represent a person who has killed an advocate? We have the case of Baby Pendo. When Baby Pendo was killed, was shot dead. The question, and people were mad, how can advocates represent killers of that child? It was a big hullabaloo. We have the case, very many cases where advocates are being blamed for taking up this matter. My colleagues in Nakuru, Kipngetich, has taken up this matter to defend the 9 girls. There's a backlash. How can Wakili Kipngetich take up this matter? We went and looked at the advocate's oath of admission to the bar in Kenya. What does the oath of every advocate says? I, full name, let me say, I, Dunstan Omari, do swear by the Almighty God and do solemnly affirm that I will at all times uphold the rule of law. The first thing an advocate swears is to God that he will at all times uphold the rule of law. 2, and the administration of justice. The advocate's oath of office is to defend the rule of law. And 2, defend the administration of justice. 3, without fear or favor. Without fear or favor. I, Dunstan Omari, I will well and truly discharge my duties as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. So help me God. Every advocate has sworn to defend the rule of law. What is the rule of law? What the Constitution provides as the Constitution of Kenya. What the laws, the statutes of the Republic of Kenya provide. 2, to defend the rule of law, due process. If due process is the question, the advocate is going to defend. If you look, my law firm, and the logo here is the defense never rests. Why? We must defend the rule of law. Today, we have more than 22 to 23,000 advocates in this country. They have taken this oath of admission. They will defend the rule of law. They will defend the administration of justice. How? They'll do that without fear or favor. So when an advocate is taking instructions, he will do all he can without fear or favor. Many advocates have been arrested. At one time, when I was defending Dr. Fred Matiang'i, I was also supposed to be arrested and be charged together with Fred Matiang'i. I was summoned to the DCI. The Law Society of Kenya made a lot of noise. The file was sent to the DPP and the Director of Public Prosecution. One Nuruddin Haji said Wakili Dunstan Omari was doing his job. He was defending the rule of law. He was defending the administration of justice without fear or favor. He declined to approve my charges. That is the position of the law. Every advocate is a defender of the rule of law. Then the question, can an advocate choose which matters to take? Can you say you can't take matters of murder? Can you say you can't take matters of defilement? Can you say you cannot take up a matter that you are not happy about? This is already a decided matter. Every advocate will take up a matter without discriminating the client. It is called the cab rank rule. The cab cab rank rule compels every advocate to take up any matter. You cannot select and cherry pick and say, this is the matter I will take. You are sworn to deal with the scales of justice. This is the scales of justice. Your job is to make sure the scale of justice works. As it swings up and down, that is how the scale of justice works. What is the cab rank rule? This started in Britain. Remember, we got our laws from the UK. In UK, there were advocates or solicitors who were saying, me, I'll not take up this matter. Then it was settled that there were taxis, those black taxis. If you were an old man, not the Uber and Bolt taxis today, those old matatus. They were black, they were Rolls-Royce vehicles, very good taxis. They queue. That is how advocates are. We queue, just like the taxis. If you come as a passenger, you will pick the first taxi on the rank. So if Omari is the advocate who is ahead, you will hire Omari, and Omari will not refuse to take up that matter. If a passenger comes and says, I will not take this taxi because it is old, you will wait. The taxi that will leave first is the taxi that is number one. That is the cab rank rule. Therefore, every advocate must take, if a client walks to your office and you refuse to take up his matter or her matter, you can be taken to the disciplinary tribunal of LSK and you'll be punished. You cannot discriminate an advocate, a client. 2, Article 50 of the Constitution. Article 50 of the Constitution. Article 50 of the Kenyan Constitution says, every person has a right to choose and be represented by an advocate and to be informed of this right promptly. Article 50G, every person has a right to choose and be represented by an advocate of their own choice. H, every person has a right to have an advocate assigned to the accused person by the state and at the state expense if substantial injustice would otherwise result, and to be informed of this right. Article 50H provides that everybody who is facing murder charges must, if they can't afford, the state will hire an advocate called a pro bono advocate for that person. For the children in conflict with the law, like the Utumishi children, the state, if the families cannot afford the advocates, the law mandates under Article 50H for the state to hire an advocate to represent them for free, for pro bono. So, when does the law allow an advocate to reject a matter? There are only 3 grounds that an advocate can refuse to take up a matter. 1, if he is conflicted or she is conflicted. For example, Omari has represented this person in one matter. I cannot represent him in another matter. I cannot act against an advocate that I have represented. This is called in the judiciary what is recusal. Judges recuse themselves because they were either advocates of the accused person at one time. Advocates can also refuse if they have a conflict in the matter. Number two, an advocate can refuse to take up the matter if he has some personal knowledge. If this person is their friend, an advocate can refuse to take up that matter. But under the cab rank rule, every advocate must take up a matter. So those ones who are mad that advocates are defending benign girls, they now understand our oath of office is to defend the rule of law and the administration of justice without fear or favor. That is our oath of office. Every advocate stands for those pillars. We are protected by the Law Society of Kenya. The Act, the Law Society of Kenya mandates us to defend the rule of law without fear or favor. The Law Society of Kenya has given guidelines on how we defend our matters. Wakili Dan Omari has now explained it to you and told you, don't select, don't be mad with us when we defend our people. I remember when I took up the matter together with my colleagues, Mr. Shadrach Wamboi, Cliff Ombeta, Samson Nyaberi, and myself, we went to defend Pastor Ezekiel. Everybody was mad that we have taken up this matter. But we stood firm because we took an oath to defend the rule of law. And Pastor Ezekiel is a free man now doing his work. Several advocates have been blamed for taking up several matters. Some advocates are defending government. Those people are not doing anything wrong. We swore to defend the rule of law. An example is Professor Githu Muigai. At one time, he was a private practitioner. He defended his clients. Later, he became the Attorney General. He defended the government. That is his oath. He took an oath of office as the Attorney General. He defended government. His term ended. He is now an advocate. He is again defending clients against the Attorney General's office. As lawyers, we are not loyal to a client. We are loyal to the rule of law. We are loyal to the administration of justice. And we are loyal to defend the law without fear or favor. Wakili Dan Omari, all the way from Court Helicopter, Asante.